So we are now going to turn it over to Dana, who, as I said, was in this office previously, went to the private sector and was doing fantastic, and we lured her back. And she has just done a wonderful job in running our municipal and district courts. As many of you know, these are the courts that were still very active even when everything was shut down. So she has been overseeing, you know, the lifeblood of our office, because of course crime does not stop during a global pandemic, as we have all seen. So Dana, can you walk us through a few things? And maybe, I don't know if Liz is going to say anything either, but I leave that to you. Go ahead, Dana.
Sure. Thank you, DA Rollins, so much for that kind introduction. My name is Dana Pierce. I am the Chief of the District and Municipal Courts. And we have 9 courthouses at the District and Municipal Court level in Suffolk County. And there is really no functional difference between a district or a municipal court. It's just a name thing. But we have the Chelsea District Court, and then we have 8 divisions of the Boston Municipal Court. They are Brighton, which is temporarily relocated to Brookline. Then we have Central, which is in downtown Boston. We have Charlestown, Dorchester, East Boston, Roxbury, South Boston, and West Roxbury. And then Danielle, if you could go to the next slide, please. Our courts have remained open for the most part. The Chelsea District Court was closed for a while and conducting business purely by either phone or Zoom, but now they're open. And all of our other courthouses at the district municipal court level are open, but on a limited basis. And this is just a list of some of the things that they're doing. It's almost everything except for jury trials and some evidentiary hearings, but some of the more common hearings are virtual restraining orders, harassment prevention orders. Both of those are being conducted virtually unless the court orders people to come in person. The courts are doing risk protection and mental health hearings. So this is if you need to section a loved one or a family member, either due to substance use disorder or mental health issues. We're doing arraignments. Custody arraignments are in person. Non-custody arraignments are virtual. Default warrant removals, arrest warrants, any sort of a pretrial detention hearing. So that might be a motion to hold someone on dangerousness under the bail statute. It might be a probation detention or a probation violation hearing. We're also doing plea hearings, motions to reconsider bail, motions for the return of bail, and motions for funds where an individual is in custody. And that could be on a criminal case or on a civil commitment. Danielle, if you could do the next slide, please. Other evidentiary hearings, it's a little bit more tricky. Bench trials can occur virtually with the approval of the court's first justice. Some courthouses are doing bench trials in person. Currently, none of our district and municipal courts are doing jury trials. They're going to start phasing in jury trials starting October 23rd in a small number of locations, specifically 1 per county. In Suffolk County, that will be Boston Municipal Court, the Central Division. That's the Brook Courthouse located in downtown Boston. And there's going to be a lot of safety requirements. Everything's going to be spread out. Everything is going to be COVID CDC compliant, and the number of jury trials will be restricted. And then expansion on COVID-related protocols are determined by the trial court department in consultation with the jury commissioner and the chief justice of the trial court. So it's going to be an evolving process. And for any updates, you can go to the Massachusetts Trial Court's website, which is here on the screen for you. And then if you have questions about a specific courthouse, we have information for each courthouse. We have the court name, the court address, the court phone number, and then our office. We have an office for each courthouse, and that's our phone number. If you are if you have an open case as a defendant and you're not sure who your lawyer is, I would recommend that you call the clerk's office. That's that court phone number column, and they can tell you who your lawyer is. If you're a victim or witness looking for an update on a case, please feel free to call either the courthouse or the Suffolk County DA's office in the particular courthouse where your case is located.
Excellent. And so, and obviously CPCS has a main number that you can call if any of your people you are working with are defendants in our cases, that they should be calling that number. One of the things
Yes.
we're also proud of is, although our municipal and district courts don't handle sort of grand jury matters, we are proud that in addition to the CAC adapting and Audrey's unit, we also, during the height of the pandemic, were one of the very few DA's offices in the United States that had a sitting grand jury, not once, but twice. And then we most recently impaneled a new grand jury. So we, you know, basically what Dana is not saying is the system of justice moved too slow, I believe, in the past. And I don't mean we should rush to justice. I simply mean, you know, there are speedy trial requirements. I don't like hearing that we still have cases that are 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. That doesn't, to me, symbolize accountability and justice and the ability to give people to the opportunity to move on with their lives. With the grand jury, we are thinking creatively about presenting those cases so they will be ready to go. And we are, I believe, in a much better situation than many of our counterparts, other DA's offices around the Commonwealth and around the country. We are also contemplating right now, because there's a lot of cases percolating where, even though I think it may have been Ian saying, yes, police are going to go into violent and serious situations at the height of COVID. For many of those non-violent, non-serious crimes, they weren't. They were issuing summonses or tickets to say, hey, you just did the following. They would have like a long, you know, I don't know, stick that they would hand it to somebody with. And it says, you know, when the court's open, you need to be there to be held accountable for what you allegedly did. Dana and Liz and myself, as well as the first assistant, Dan Mulhern, second assistant, Masai King, and others, are going to be thinking creatively about, do we want to wait until the trial courts sort of open the floodgates and we have this backlog, or do we want to try to work with our partners at CPCS and MACDL, the Mass Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, as well as other, you know, bar advocates and others, to say, can we start looking at some of these cases pre-court date? Obviously, you know, they would need to be represented, but whether we can determine if we can sort some of these out before we go in front of the court.